Welcome to the Tits Up podcast with Coley Arnold, the unapologetic space for women in the thick of it. You know, the messy middle where you're too far in to quit, but the finish line feels like a mirage. Where the pressure is high, the stakes are real, and every win feels hard-earned. This isn't a highlight reel. This is the unfiltered truth about building a business, holding your life together, and finding your fire when it would be easier to burn it all down. If you're tired of fake perfection and ready for the real, raw conversations that make you feel seen and lit up, then grab your coffee, your courage, and let's do this. Shoulders back, head high, tits up, girlfriend. Are you building a business that might look good on paper but still feels lonely, messy, or unclear behind the scenes? You don't have to figure it all out alone. The Foundress is a community for female founders who are ready to scale with clarity, connection, and purpose. Whether you're making your first 6 figures or scaling towards 7, we're the place where your ambition is seen, your ideas are sharpened, and your success is celebrated. Inside, you'll find strategy, deep support, and a powerful circle of women who get it. Because at Foundress, we don't just network, we grow together. If you're craving more than just another business group, if you're ready for mentorship, momentum, and women who speak your language, come join us. Your seat at the table is waiting. Head to foundress.co to learn more. Today on the podcast, I am sitting down with Alexis Castorina, who is an author, a humorist, and a marketing consultant with a background that spans for over 20 years in marketing and a commitment to personal growth. Today, she blends business strategy, humor, and a passion for human potential as a consultant and a speaker. Whether you're a professional in transition or a business leader seeking growth, she uses her unique experience in mindset, marketing strategy, and career coaching to help you thrive. Hello, Alexis. Thank you so much for being here today with me on the Tits Up podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm
pumped.
So glad that we get to hang out and have this conversation. So obviously we met less than a month ago, 2 months ago. Maybe?
Yeah, this summer.
Not long ago. And you joined Foundress, which has been so fun. But this is really our first time sitting down one-on-one and having a really deep conversation. So I'm so excited.
Me too.
We don't mess around here. So we really like to get into all the nooks and crannies of life. So we're going to just dive in and see where this conversation takes us.
I'm here for it.
I love it. Okay. And you are a comedian.
I am.
So we're going to need a little of that today.
Okay.
You can just let it flow.
Just let it go.
I like it. Okay. I am not funny. I think I'm funny. And so I make really funny. Bad jokes.
You're a 7 Enneagram.
I am a 7 Enneagram.
Yeah, you've got the humor vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I do. I try really hard. My husband's like, okay, that's not. He calls them dad jokes. I'm like, all right, fine. I think I'm funny. Come on. Okay. So I want to dive in. You had a marketing background.
Yes.
And now you're a comedian. So that is quite the pivot.
Yes.
But I want to hear kind of how you started in marketing. Let's hear a little backstory, introduce yourself, and then we can dive into the nitty gritties.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I am a comedian, but that's more of my hobby. Okay. And I do get paid for it.
I love
it. I wish I could get paid more for just telling jokes.
We will. We'll get there.
At some point we will. But my background is I spent about 2 decades in corporate America, and I saw all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yep. And I noticed that there was one common problem that was plaguing both individuals at the employee level and organizations at the enterprise level, and that was disconnection.
Interesting.
Yes. And when people are disconnected from their mission, their vision, their values, and their purpose, it causes so much unnecessary struggle and strife.
So
and so I'm kind of on a mission now, having been out of corporate for 3 years, to raise the vibe and help people reconnect, realign, and essentially rebrand the way that they're living and leading. And so after I left corporate, I did spend a great deal of time in marketing and communications. But as I went through my introspection and reevaluating, what do I want the next part of my career to look like? I'm in my 40s.
Yep. 40 is that magical number where you just kind of reevaluate. You're like, I see why midlife crisis happen.
Yes.
If you're not willing to do the work, you just kind of explode.
Right. But you can reframe it and look at it as an exciting opportunity.
Correct.
And so I gave you that kind of context because, yes, I've been in marketing and in comms, and I've been successful working at high-tech companies, working with influencers and celebrities. It's been fun. But when I did the work, I realized that this second part of my life, I meant to serve in a different way. And so I really see the value in the way that the workplace is changing, the way that we are all just desperate for connection and purpose to help people get there and figure out what that looks like for them. And so in addition to being a comedian and doing comedy, I'm doing consulting and coaching as well.
Amazing. I love it so much. Okay, so I kind of want to dive into the comedy first.
Yeah, let's do it.
Going from corporate America for 20 years to being a comedian is quite the pivot.
Yes.
You, I'm sure, have lots of stories from your corporate America days.
Yes.
That probably are like spur on your comedy. So talk about kind of that transition. Have you always loved comedy? When did that start for you?
Yeah.
And what made you really take that pivot of kind of, obviously you're not all in terms of like your business, but like you jumped into that pool really
I jumped
quick,
in,
right?
I did. Yeah, I've always just loved making my friends laugh, class clown. I've had a bucket list item, like a fantasy in my head of being on stage doing stand-up. And how I left corporate was, it's a bit of a long story. I won't go into all the details, but 2022, I'm in the best year of my career and winning awards, all the things. It was great. And all of a sudden I'm blindsided and I'm fired. Oh, wow. And I don't really understand the reason to this day. It doesn't matter. It was a blessing in disguise. And in addition to that, I also was in a fatal car accident a month before I got fired. The other driver, unfortunately, did not survive. I did not have a scratch on me, which to me was just all of this stuff happening was kind of a signal. And so it made me take a step back and say, damn, life is short. What are some of the things that I've always wanted to do that I now have some capacity to do? Right. And one of those things was comedy. Amazing. And I took improv comedy classes, and then I took a stand-up comedy class. And during my student showcase performance, which was literally only a year ago, there were 2 producers in the crowd that night, and they liked my set, and they asked me to perform paid shows the following month.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I truly credit comedy with helping me release a lot of shame and baggage that came from getting fired. And I have something I call conscious comedy, which really is using comedy as a healing modality. Absolutely. And a way to grow your business too.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's so fun. I can't wait to see you do your stand-up. You'll have to invite me to your next show.
Yeah, I have one coming up this Friday, so I'll tell you all about it.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Okay, so with the comedy, how did you get over the fear of being on stage? Did you have that fear? Has that been, sometimes the things that come naturally to us are the things we kind of discredit, and we're like, oh, I'm not that great, or we have that self-doubt. How did you kind of take that leap to just go, I know I'm supposed to do this, and just kind of push through that fear or limiting beliefs that this can't be a job, right? We tell ourselves all sorts of crazy things when we're on that brink of transformation or change in our lives. So how did you kind of overcome some of those obstacles?
I was in a season of stepping outside of my comfort zone. So I was looking for the pain, looking for the uncomfortability.
I love it.
But what was a really good entry point into that was taking improv classes first. So you're not just on stage by yourself telling your jokes and being totally vulnerable. You're with a group of people first, and you start to realize and learn what it feels like to be on stage, and you know that you're not just by yourself up there.
Right.
So that was a really good first step into stand-up. And one thing with improv is you can't really rehearse or prepare for it.
Right.
So you're really on your toes. And it's great for business, for team building. We were just at a book signing with Judy Holler at her book launch party. And it really is a great way to build connection with people.
Yeah, one of our founders gals was up on the stage,
Yes.
Sherry, doing her thing.
Yes.
With the improv. So fun.
Yeah.
It is such a cool tool, and it does get you out of your head and into the present moment, because oftentimes we just overthink everything. In business and life, especially as women. And I think that's such a cool tool to be able to use, whether you want to do comedy or stand-up or not. I think improv is such a cool tool to get you out of your head. And,
Yes.
And you have to be so present, and you have to be paying attention, because things come up, things change, and then it's your turn. You have to be ready, right?
Yep.
So talk about kind of how that improv kind of helped you on your coaching path. Like, has that benefited your career in coaching at all?
Yeah, it has. Really being prepared to pivot. And in improv, yes, and.
Yeah.
So you're just going with it, and you have to be ready to lean into whatever else comes at you, because your job is to make the other person look good. Yeah. And that parlays well for me in coaching, because my job, whether it's coaching someone individually or working with a business, my job is to help you look good, and to help navigate the uncertainty and challenges. And so I think it's a really good skill for public speaking and just also resiliency.
I love that. Okay, so talk to me about being a coach. I think the word coach has been watered down so much in our industry. I actually am calling myself a mentor and not a coach because of that. So talk to me a little bit about how you overcome that. What trainings have you gone through to really just kind of set yourself apart in this industry that is, it's almost becoming like the real estate industry, where there's a lot of mistrust.
Yes.
Because there's so many people that kind of, you can just call yourself a coach and not have any credentials, training. And I think that word has just been so watered down. So how do you combat that? And how do you set yourself apart as a coach in this industry of mistrust, really?
I'm so glad that you said that, because that has been one of the biggest barriers for myself in terms of how I brand myself and how I talk about myself. So if you look at my social media right now, I am not being seen like I know I need to be. And I know that a lot of women in the foundress, I mean, that's one of the challenges that a lot of us face, is that visibility. For me, having been in marketing, branding, comms, I want to get my message so down, and it's really difficult to use the right words. And coach, I've had this visceral reaction because I do think that there's stigma with it. And I don't want to offend anyone by it, but at the same time, I take a lot of pride in whatever I'm doing. I want it to be top notch, and I want to provide the most value. And so what I've done is a bit of research myself, which is hiring out different coaches to see for different things that I personally want to work on. And I get a sense of different modalities, different techniques, different styles, and I just kind of score them, what I like, what I don't like, and I make things my own. And I feel like I can help people in a lot of different areas, but where I keep getting pulled into is on this career coaching side and life design. And a lot of referrals have come to me from corporate. And so I was telling Jillian the other day, who is leading the league cohort as part of Foundress. I was like, I kind of consider myself like a consultant, because I don't want to just sit there and ask a bunch of questions and let someone figure it out on them, on their own.
Right.
People are coming to me because they want direction, a roadmap, and a strategy. So it's part allowing people to discover things about themselves, but also calling them out on their shit and like giving them some guidance and direction. And so a lot of my training is through my own anecdotal and experiential learning researching things online. And then another thing that I got certified in is neuro-linguistic programming, NLP.
Yeah.
So I got a certification through the Association for Integrative Psychology last year. And in November, I am getting a master practitioner training, mental emotional release therapy training and certification, and hypnotherapy.
Amazing.
Because what I've also found is, I started off sharing this problem of disconnection in corporate, at the organization and employee level. A lot of the reason that we're all struggling and we're not growing and we're not making more money is because we have a lot of subconscious baggage and limiting beliefs that we have not processed.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
I am like, I get chills talking about it because it's causing so much unnecessary pain for people. And it's keeping people stuck in autopilot and not living to their full potential because they haven't taken the time to step back and reflect on what is causing them pain and understanding what it is, why it exists, and not just spinning around and talking about it and wallowing in it, but what's the plan of attack? I'm very action-oriented. So my coaching, consulting, whatever someone feels good to call it, it's really being a guide for people to help them navigate where they're at, where they want to go, and how to get there.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Okay, so I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here for just a second.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fun because everyone struggles with this. That mindset, the disbelief, the limiting beliefs that come up, no matter whether you're in corporate, whether you own your own business, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, like we all don't feel like we're enough ever. Okay, so can we workshop this for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let you kind of lead this, but we can use me as a guinea pig because I think this is such a good, let's teach the listeners at home, what is one way we can move past this struggle of feeling like we're not enough or this limiting belief? So I'm a CEO, owner. I show up every day. My husband jokes. He's like, is this a Starbucks day? Is this a quit? Because I'm like, I'm going to quit and go work at Starbucks because you get overwhelmed. You don't feel like you're good enough. And especially us that lead and coach other women, that disbelief creeps in so hardcore because we're like, who the hell do we think we are to lead someone else, right? When we don't have it figured out because we're not perfect, right?
Oh gosh.
Okay.
I am, but no.
Okay, teach us your way. No, I'm just kidding.
I wish. I'm clearing my own stuff as well. We all are. And it's an ongoing thing.
Absolutely. And I think too, having tools is so important because it's like you said, it's an ongoing thing. It's not going to be like, oh, we battled that and now we're forever healed. It's a daily practice of choosing that action and stepping into that unknown and that fear, even when we don't feel like we should. So is there can we kind of workshop this a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you lead this. We can kind of go off of
So I like to look at what's your problem statement and what's your objective? Like, where do you feel like you're being held up right now?
I think for me, I'm on this tier of growth that feels terrifying, and it's less fear of failure. It's more fear of success and what that looks like and how my life will change, how my the demand and the responsibilities on me would increase if this grew to the place I know it could grow for Foundress.
And what would happen to your lifestyle if you did have more demands? What would that look like, and what would that feel like?
Right. I'm a mom of 4 boys. My oldest is a senior, so I'm super protective. I have a lot of boundaries over my time. I try to be done when he gets home from school. I try to be available. And so I think there's fear of, and then obviously I have 3 other boys at home they're growing. I don't want to miss out. And so I think the fear comes from if I grow and the responsibility gets increased, then my availability to be home and present with the boys will diminish. And that is something that I think there's a big fear around that because I don't want that to change.
And why do you think that you wouldn't be available if you grew?
Oh man, that's a good question. it's funny because in my head, it's like I know I have the systems in place and I have the staff in place that are incredible and support. But I think our culture tells us that if you're not, to be successful, you have to give up something else and you have to grind and you have to have your head down. And I think there's an unwillingness in my own values to budge on being home and being available. And so I think what I've been taught, whether being told or just what I've seen through a lot of men being successful online, and women in their masculine energy, which I'm a complete, like, I can definitely lean that way a lot. But I think there's a belief somewhere subconsciously that to be successful, you have to work 24/7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's programming. Mm-hmm. It's programming. I mean, you said looking at men who've been successful.
Yeah.
These are all programs that have been running because of societal conditioning, family stuff that's come up. And what's really cool is we have the choice to make decisions about what our life looks like. Yeah. And I forget which guest that you had on recently on the podcast, but there is no such thing as balance.
Yeah, no, there's not.
We're going to over-index in
Right.
one area or the other. I know for me personally, I will be crushing it on the career side, and my fitness will, will take a back seat. I'm trying to get it perfect. I'm trying to get, but it's not realistic.
Yeah.
And so I think what's most important is what many of us fail to do as a first step is, what does your ideal day look like? And if that means being home at a certain time, it's building processes and systems around that. You already have evidence of success. You know that you can delegate and hire, and you had someone on, and again, I binged a few episodes.
I love it.
But the point is that once you draft what the process is, the more organized you are, the more clarity you have on operations and how things run and what you want things to look like. And this could be running the business or running your life.
Right.
Then you know where to get support.
Right.
So we can have it all.
Yeah.
We just can't have it all at the same time most often.
Damn it. I'm just kidding.
I know.
That's so good. No, I think that's true. And I think that exercise of figuring out kind of what that core fear is, because a lot of time when I work with other women, it's like, well, I'm afraid of failing. I'm like, are you? Because I've watched you fail publicly and you've been fine with it, right? And I think for a long time, I thought I was afraid of failing. And then when I did the work, I was like, oh, I think what I'm actually afraid of is the success. And what does that responsibility shift look like? Like, I have had I would say a nice control over the size of my community up until this point. And I did kind of this exercise of like, what is my actual mission in life? And it is that every woman who owns a business has the resources in the community to support her. Well, if I keep my control and I have my community like this, and I'm not allowing other women into this community because I'm afraid of what that looks like when it gets bigger, then I'm not serving my mission, and I'm being selfish. And it's such a hard thing to get past, I think.
Yeah.
But like really grounding into like, what is it that's actually holding me back? What is it that is the biggest fear and roadblock for us? And then I think what you said really hit the point of like, what is your, like, actually visualizing, like, what does this day look like in full success?
Totally.
What does your day look like if maybe you failed, right? And putting words to it and putting it on paper, to where we go, oh, okay, that's not that bad. I can do that.
Totally.
Right? It makes it more real.
Absolutely. I've struggled with that too. For the longest time, I had my Instagram account. All my socials were private. And I worked in corporate America, and I worked for a large financial technology company. And I talked about payment safety and cybersecurity. And I mean, there are benefits to keeping private.
I'm sure.
Especially in the age of AI.
Yeah.
So I knew that in order to be an entrepreneur and to attract clients and to be visible, I was going to have to reframe and and become visible. And just the thought of turning my profile public and what that looked like from being judged, being visible. And one of my fears as well is because I am overcoming people-pleasing tendencies. One of my fears, and it's probably silly, but it's what if I do get too big and then I'm not able to respond to everyone that DMs me, and then people think I'm an asshole.
Right.
And just the capacity and the bandwidth and the lifestyle change. How would that change my relationship if I got booked on big stages to do keynotes and I was traveling around the country and it disrupts my lifestyle? Like we're thinking too future,
Right.
and not how can I be of service and what is my mission? And I love that you grounded in restating what that was, because it takes the fear away from growing Foundress.
Well, yeah. And I think if you think about every day of like, how do I serve my customers the best to my ability? And you do that every single day. And as you grow, that changes, but you're doing it in small steps instead of like all of a sudden we have 1 million members. Well, you're not going to go from where you are now to 1 million overnight.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to happen gradually.
Yes.
And so you get to adjust in small increments to where when you get there, you're like, oh, look at that. I did it.
Yeah.
And it's not this overwhelming thing.
Yeah. And there's, I don't know who said it, but in any event in the professional development community, just talking about overnight success.
Yeah.
Our nervous system would not be able to handle going from, 1,000 followers to 1 million overnight, because we haven't built the muscle. And we energetically would not be able to sustain that, which is why like people that win the lottery, it wrecks their life because they go from like 0 to 100 effing real quick.
Right. Totally. Okay. So in 2020, my husband and I, when the world shut down, we started watching documentaries, and we were really into like famous people's stories. I just love hearing people's stories, whether it's Foundress members or like people who had like massive fame. And it was so interesting because we watched, it was like Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and I can't even remember. We watched so many that during COVID. And what we found was like the people who had instant success, it was like literally their brains couldn't function. And so they were having meltdowns. And this is a very unscientific observation, but I was like, we're not made to be worshiped like that, first of all. And we're not made to have that overnight, like instant success, which we talk about that in business all the time, is most of our success is not instant and overnight. It's gradual.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it can be successful that way, because again, you're adjusting slowly instead of all of a sudden, and then we're not equipped to handle that amount of change,
totally,
and transformation in one day.
Absolutely. And it's a good way to reframe when things don't necessarily go your way.
Yeah.
It might be, God, the universe, creator, whatever you like to call it, kind of saving face for you, because if you were to have gotten booked on, a morning show, or you got this huge Fortune 500 client, and you weren't necessarily energetically prepared and aligned with it at that point, man, that failure, while I believe everything's a lesson and we can learn from it, that would have taken you so many steps backwards. And so a lot of times when things don't work out, it's because we're not quite ready. And so that's just a really good reframe too, is things take time. And if things aren't happening right now, it doesn't mean it's not going to. It's just the timing's off.
Right. Oh, that's so good. So good. What is one of the things in your coaching career that you see come up over and over with especially women, because that's mainly our audience, except for my husband. Hi, babe. Thanks for listening. What is one of those things that you kind of see come up over and over and over again with women in terms of?
Yeah, it's confidence. Yeah, it really is. Comparison and confidence and shoulding all over ourselves. So,
by the way, that was should, not shit.
although it can
both,
happen.
yeah.
But it's comparison, which is comparison is the thief of joy for a reason. And when women that I work with see other people doing things that they want to do, they feel like they can do it, but they have so much baggage and so many reasons why they can't that it totally just dims their light.
Yeah. And
so that's probably the biggest thing is confidence and comparison. Those two things combined are like kryptonite.
Well, I'm also in a league group. I created this higher tier membership for Foundress, for those who aren't familiar. And I really created it for my community and wasn't expecting to like jump in a group. And I ended up jumping in a group and it's been so incredible. But one of the gals was saying, she said, I think when you are building or adding something new in your business or really kind of taking that next level step, that really unfollowing everyone in your industry for just a minute. Like we support others, like our community is such a beautiful example of that. We have a lot of women in the same industry that support and collaborate and work together. But when you're kind of in that expansion phase, that comparison can creep in. And then we also feel like we should, like you said, you should yourself to death, but like, oh, well, they're doing it this way. Maybe I should do it that way. And we stop listening to our intuition and we stop trusting ourselves and we lack the confidence and we lean in onto like, well, we morph kind of our business, not intentional and not in a copying way, but like, oh, well, they're really successful. Maybe I guess I should just do it that way because that's what's working. Why would I try to recreate the wheel? Why this doesn't make sense when everything inside of us is going, no, don't do it that way. And we don't trust ourselves.
Yes.
And so she was saying like, when you're on that brink of expansion, like mute everyone in your industry for a hot minute so that you can really focus on your own like intuition and trust that and not be comparing yourselves to others.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such great advice of like, sometimes we just need to take a break and stop the comparison game for a minute, even if it's good. Like I love following people who do what I do and I learn from so many people in my industry as well. But there's times again where you just have to like step back and go, okay, I have to trust what I'm doing. I have to trust that it's going to be like, this is going to work the way I want it to work. And if it doesn't, I'll pivot. But I think our tendency is to follow and then morph what we originally wanted to do because we're watching it develop in maybe a quote unquote what looks like a successful way with someone else, and we're like, oh, I guess maybe I should do it that way.
I 100% agree with that, and it's been plaguing me. Even for me, I have such resistance to TikTok because it's another channel, and I'm not familiar with it, and I know I could overcome that, but same thing. It doesn't necessarily resonate for me personally to do all the trends, and like maybe I'll try one or two, but I don't want to feel like I have to do that with every new thing that comes out. Right. And I don't know, people want to work with us because of our energy, because of who we are, because of the connection. Right. And to me, it's kind of counterintuitive sometimes to go with all of the trends because it's the sea of sameness. You're just another coach, or consultant, whatever you like to call it. Yeah. But I think to your point, use discernment. Do what feels good for you and just be authentic. And if you want to get silly one day and do some trends, do some trends. Right. But you don't have to do everything. And I really think that's great advice to when you are building to not follow. Get like a couple doses of inspo. Right. And then like do your own thing.
Yeah. I thought it was really great. And you just get caught in that comparison trap. And I think when you're not grounded in trust in your own confidence, then it just comes so much easier to compare. And then you're in the spiral. And then oftentimes how many of us have started something or had this big dream to start, and then we looked at everyone else and we're like, oh, I'm not doing that. And then we're not able to serve the people that we set out to serve because of comparison.
Totally. Well, even for me, just, I want to join the coaching space or, helping. But, I'm looking at it in twofold. Like I'm helping organizations and I want to work with people one-to-one. Yeah. But even just the thought of getting into the coaching space, I feel like I'm 5 years late. And I feel like a lot of the integrity when everyone jumped in around COVID has made things watered down. And so there's just we have to kind of get over that stuff and be confident in that, look, I have different skills, different experiences, and I'm creating a different program so that it is unique and it is different. And I always like to look at where things are trending and the way where there are gaps in the marketplace and how we're changing how we live and work. And so what are skills that people need, whether that's a hard skill or an emotional intelligence or some kind of softer skill. And, what experiences have I had? And what does the science say? What does research say? And like, where are things going? And then tailoring that to help serve people with current day things and maybe not an outdated program from 2018.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel confident that what I'm building is unique and that it is serving people in a new way. And I'm bringing humor into it also, which is really fun.
Which is so fun.
Yeah.
And makes you so unique. Okay, so I was teaching a class this morning on communication and to a group of businesswomen, and we were talking about kind of finding your niche. And I think when you first start out, you're so resistant to really niching down. And everyone will tell you, niche down, niche down, niche down. But it's so hard. And I remember when I started Foundress, I would tell everyone I ran into, like, you should join. And some of them were stay-at-home moms, some of them were corporate ladies, some of them were founders. And then they'd get in this room, and the whole point of Foundress was for female entrepreneurs. So then I would be talking about women in business, and my best friend, who's a stay-at-home mom, she's like, I'm not getting anything out of this. Like, why am I here? And then they're like, it's like, if you are not kind enough to niche down, like, you're going to attract people that aren't your ideal clients. So I think using your humor is such a cool way to like niche down one step further. So you're attracting those women that can laugh and can like use laughter as therapy, right? Or healing and start part of their process. And you don't want to attract someone who's like, I don't laugh. That's not what I do. Right. Yeah. You're like, oh, this isn't gonna work out for us. So being super open and honest, I think, about who you're serving is so important when you're building your business, and not having that fear around like, well, the scarcity mindset. Right. Because I think when we're starting out, and obviously we have no income coming in, we have no clients, we're like, I'm going to say yes to anyone who walks by me, right? Much less like walks in my door.
Yeah.
And then we're just setting each other up for disappointment. So I'd say don't be afraid to niche down.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing that in a really cool way of adding something that someone else might look at and go, well, those things don't go together.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, watch this, right?
But wait, there's more.
Totally. And you're bringing them together in such a cool way that you're finding those clients that are like, yes, I need that in my life, right?
And I think it's good to laugh at how silly we've been operating.
Totally.
Like, it's fun to, it's good to laugh at the things that are hangups for us. And the more that we call awareness to, I don't know, people-pleasing tendencies or a need to control, like, the more that we can bring that to the open and joke about it, the less power it has over us. And so my style of comedy is I really like observational humor and self-deprecating jokes, and just to like call myself out on my bullshit, and also just call out like how messed up the world is in a way that's not Debbie Downer, but just like, can you believe that this is what we think is like normal life? And it takes away the vulnerability, and people realize that we're all human.
Right.
And
it brings back that humanness.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's been missing for so long in businesses, is that we've tried, I think our world has created this fear of saying something wrong because we're in this cancel culture. And so we've taken out every element of humanness in our business. And instead of showing up and being like, hey, y'all, I'm a mess. Here I am. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to say stupid shit. And I mean, that's part of the reason why it took so long for me to even launch this podcast too. Because I'm like, I'm going to offend somebody. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And it obviously is not my intention, But I think if we are so afraid of that, then we're holding back on being our real selves. And I think we bring humanness back into our business with that humor.
100%.
Which is so great.
Yeah. And that was, candidly, my biggest fear of doing comedy was cancel culture and unintentionally hurting someone. Right. And when I first started writing jokes, I poked fun a lot of how I grew up, which is a blue-collar family in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Western Pennsylvania. And I was, I'm like, look, the things that I had shame around, in life earlier, I can joke about now. I'm healed. And then I was like, wait, I feel like I'm punching down. And there's in comedy, it's like punching down and punching up. Yeah. Typically, you can punch up, so we can make fun of Elon Musk and billionaires all we want. Right. But to make fun of someone that's struggling to pay the bills and, is, getting hand-me-downs, whatever the case is. I love a good hand-me-down.
Same.
But there's a bit of an etiquette there. And so recognizing, it's using discernment and your own judgment of what's appropriate and what's not. And so while I was telling those jokes and it was fun and, I don't care, I'm embracing it now as an adult. Right. It's like, wait, if I start posting my sets online and my, uncle sees it, is he going to think I'm a stuck-up bitch that lives in Scottsdale? Right. Just you start to censor yourself. Right. And so I think that to a degree, it's important to be cognizant of our words and how they can hurt people. But again, with over-indexing, I feel like we've over-indexed so much societally with everything's offensive that it paralyzes us to be authentic because we're so afraid of saying the wrong thing, going viral for something taken out of context, and it completely derails your life and everything you've worked for. Right. So, I mean, it's a big concern. So I think as long as we have, how I've repositioned how I write jokes now is like, is this for the highest good of like myself and humanity? Right. And can I rewrite this joke in a way that maybe doesn't make fun of, I don't know, Lizzo, and like uses a different character or object to like get the same point across. Yeah. So it's just, it's using filters and understanding how people might receive things. Right. But I don't think that we should be so overly prescriptive that it takes away who we really are. Right. And I think I love watching you kind of combine the like coaching with the humor, because I think there's a lot of healing that can happen with humor. And looking at our past is like things that we can't change, but it's like, okay, when we add humor to this, we can almost lessen the impact maybe. Yes. Of like, okay, this doesn't define me. Right. And we can use humor to kind of bring it to light to go, you know what, if this has gone on with you too, like you're not alone. Yes. Right. And we can kind of use it to lighten the impact of how heavy some of our past can be. And then I do really believe that can create the healing to move forward in your business or in your life, however you want to, whichever direction you want to take it. But if we aren't able to have that humor and healing, then everything's so heavy. 100%. Yeah. And I have a keynote I do called Conscious Comedy. And in it, I explain how humor helped me get promoted by building connection. And humor also helped me heal after the shame of getting fired. And so for like 2 years after I got fired, I danced around. I don't lie, but you don't always have to tell every detail. Right. But I danced around the real reason that I got propelled into entrepreneurship, which was that I got fired. Like I was already doing consulting. I'd already started an LLC, but like I was full on entrepreneurship because I got fired. Right. And some of my closest friends didn't even know the real reason because I was so ashamed. And there's a lot of baggage there and like subconscious stuff. But what healed me was telling a joke on stage that was like, I used to work in corporate America, but I'm an entrepreneur now, which is a fancy way of saying I got fired. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And like saying that bit released all of it. It's like, here I am. I'm saying it on a podcast
and
now.
So relatable.
Yeah.
Because how many people, I mean, my business coach has that story. And she was able to reframe it for herself of like, oh, ouch, this wasn't my plan. My plan was a 7-year plan that turned into a 2-year plan because I got fired. But what a blessing that it was for her. And she's like, I've been able to like learn how to trust myself and rely on myself as a single mom. And it's been such a huge blessing for her in that. But she's like, if I would have, sat in that shame, it would have held her back. And she wouldn't have been able to be as successful as she was right away because she was holding on to shame, right?
Absolutely.
So you're in that, being open in that, even though it's so hard for us, I think it makes you relatable. It makes you approachable because other people have gone through that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the authenticity that we're craving in this coaching world, is that if we pretend that we're perfect and we have it all together, no one's going to want to work with us because that's not attainable. It's not possible. And everyone knows that behind the scenes you're falling apart. So it's like, if we can bring some of that, obviously we're not going to like bring all of our baggage to every session, but like if we can bring some of that realness, whether it's humor or just authenticity of going, hey, we don't have it all together, but I can hold up a mirror to you and we can have a conversation about how we get through this, right?
Totally.
Together, how we grow together in this.
Yeah.
I think that's such a better way to do business because, again, we're not better than anyone else. We don't have our shit together. We have learned a lot of stuff along the ways that we can share and let, hopefully people can skip some heartache because we are sharing our expertise.
100%.
But yeah, it's like, let's bring that vulnerability. Let's bring that honesty. Let's bring that humor to what we do every day, no matter what our business is.
Totally.
You could use that.
100%. And candidly, that's why I wrote the book that I wrote. It's coming out in January. It's called Rebrand You. And it's about life design and treating your life like a marketing campaign. Because when all that shit happened to me, I was like, well, what do I do now? Yeah. And I was like, well, what if I treated myself like the most important brand I ever worked on? And so I created a process for that, how I would go through a creative brief to help people reconnect with who they are, like what they want, and how to make it happen. And so I share a lot of vulnerable things, and I don't have everything together. I'm very happy right now. I feel so grateful for the experiences that I've had, but I'm in like I'm in step 7. Right. I'm like testing and learning. Yeah. I don't have it all figured out, but you have to take some kind of action and you get data and you get feedback and then you reiterate and you optimize along the way. And so I don't think that even like Alex Hormozy has it all figured out. I don't think no one has a perfect life.
Right.
And, we want someone who has had like progress and can show us and guide us. But anyone that's telling you or promising you anything or saying that they are the guru, like that Tony Robbins documentary, I am not your guru.
Right.
Like there's not. But people like to see scrappiness, being gritty, and resiliency.
Well, because it's real.
Yes.
And they're going through it. And if all they're seeing is your perfection, it's like it turns you off because that's not attainable.
No.
And I think that's why it's such a repellent on social media, is because everyone's just showing their little clips of like these edited perfect versions of themselves. And again, when I scroll through, I don't even stop on those anymore.
Yeah.
I want show me what's really going on in your life.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hard things. Let's celebrate the wins.
Totally.
Together, but we need the whole picture.
100%.
And that's one of Founders' values. It's like the messy middle is what we want. It's not one thing led to another and then I'm a millionaire. You're like, what the hell? What? No. Tell us how. How did this happen? Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I think has been missing for so long. And it's been refreshing seeing that kind of come back into the atmosphere of social media, marketing, of just like, let's just be real.
I love it. And all of that perfectionism it comes with a great cost energetically.
Absolutely.
And I am working through that myself right now.
We're both recovering perfectionists.
Yes. I was
most high achieving women are.
Yes. And I was having a nice conversation with Chat last night.
I love it.
And it was just, I'm very much into dissecting myself, like continually. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just about awareness to work. Yeah. And so I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I think I have high functioning anxiety because I overly prepare for things.
Did this podcast stress you out a little bit? Because I gave you no notes.
Yes, it did. And I don't know if
my girlfriend's a type A. She's like, are you going to send me questions? I was like, no. She's like, I'm not sure I can do that. I was like, I understand, but we're going to have a great conversation.
Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed that I included a Google Doc with a link to all kinds of information about me and background information. So I think it's and so I actually last night, I'm like, should I start talking about this? Like, and this is, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
This is my doctor chat.
Self-diagnosed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think I have a lot of the markers for high functioning anxiety. And as I kind of sat with that, I was like, wow, that explains a lot for why I spend like 4 hours on a PowerPoint slide when I should get it done in 2 seconds or 2 minutes, because there's a lot to unpack there of why you need to show up perfectly or to have the perfect messaging before you get started. And so it's just self-awareness and understanding, how can I combat that? How can I express that and also show it in a real way? And so this was literally a last night thing. As I was feeling kind of nervous about not having things scripted or laid out. And I think that's...
all my type A guests are like, you're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be probably one of the biggest things I work on in 2026 is letting go of that.
Yeah.
I think, I don't want to say in my defense, but as you are starting out as a new entrepreneur, you want to be credible, and you want to deliver the most value that you can, and you're over-delivering, overextending yourself. Working more than the retainer hours because you want people to think that you're good.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. We're all seeking approval at the end of the day. We all want someone to go, you know what, this was really great. You did a good job.
Yeah.
And we have to get to a point where we can tell ourselves that, and we're not seeking that from outside. But that takes years and years and years of practice,
Totally.
Right? And building your own confidence, like you said, building that trust with yourself, so that you can go, at the end of the day, I know my values, I know what I stand up for, I know what I put out there into the world, and I know is good. I know my intentions. And then if you're hit with resistance, or someone's complaining, or someone's offended, you can really check yourself and go, that wasn't my intention, and apologize, but also just go, I know where I'm coming from, and I know what, like grounding into who you are and knowing what you stand for is so important. And I think that takes a lot of practice.
It does. It takes practice, and sometimes it takes like a roadmap on how to do that. Yeah. And my book does do that. Awesome. But I'll say that Jasmine Starr, I think, said it best. She said, I want you to like me, but I don't care if you do.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so powerful to hear that, because to your point, we do want everyone to like us. But if we are like congruent with our values and who we are, and we know that we're doing things from a good place and wanting to be of service, then the reality is not everyone is going to like you.
And we can't control other people's reactions to us. We can only control what we output into the world.
Exactly.
And that's really hard for us, controlling high-achieving women.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's so hard.
Okay, so we always end our podcast with a tits up moment.
Yeah.
So do you have a time in your life where you have felt like you really maybe had some fear or limiting beliefs that had come up, and you really, really just stepped out into fear with that head up, shoulders back, tits up kind of confidence that maybe you didn't totally feel inside, but you just took that action?
Yeah. I think most recently it's, in entrepreneurship over the last couple of years, I pivoted from, corporate marketing and comms into a fractional CMO role. And so my entrepreneur business was, a small percentage of coaching and more on the traditional marketing and comms work that I'd been doing. And at the end of, August, July, something like that, I had to really sit with myself and all the spiritual books that we read
Yeah.
and all the woo-woo stuff. You have to release something and let something go in order to call in and expand into this next version of you. And so I stuck my tits way up and I ended the marketing consulting.
Wow.
And I know that I can always do it again,
Yeah.
but that left consistent income. And so I'm stepping into the unknown, but I've done all of the work and it doesn't end. But I know myself enough that, and my faith as well, that I'm already abundant.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm meant to serve in a different way in this stage of life.
Right.
And that while it feels scary right now, I know that this is the right path.
Yeah.
And I still am using marketing to help people market themselves.
Right.
And I really love it. And so who knows, where things will go.
Right.
It's just about embracing the now and having a plan, but being loose about it. But that is the biggest tits up moment, because that challenged scarcity from childhood and just a lot of scary shit. And so I'm really proud of that.
You should be. That's amazing. I love it. Okay, well, how can our listeners find you?
You can find me at alexiscastorina.com, and Instagram would be best at Alexis Castorina.
Awesome. And we'll put this in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and tits up.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If this spoke to you, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. You've got this. Stay clear, stay grounded, and stay true to what you're building. Until next time, tits up.